right, let's talk about compressor sidechaining. Now, this is a really, really fun trick, and it has tons of audio engineering uses. Let me go ahead and show you what it is and one stereotypical way of using it before we get into how it works and why it does what it does. All right, I got my usual stereotypical dance music thingy. Take a listen. Okay, now listen to that synth now and see if you can hear the difference. Nothing really subtle about that. Okay, now how does this work? What I'm doing is I have a compressor on the main synth track, this guy. Now, this particular compressor it's a Cubase stock compressor, and it has a sidechaining feature, this little orange doodad. And what this means, 99% of the time when you use a compressor, you're not using a sidechain. The signal comes in, whether it be a vocal, drum, synth, whatever, and it splits it. What happens is it does its detection, and that's when all this attack and release, threshold, all that stuff comes to play. And it says, based on this detection, we're going to decide if we're going to slam this note or not. That's like when the magic happens, I guess you could say. And then it applies all that stuff to the audio signal. Well, somebody figured out, a pretty sharp guy, I guess, that we could throw something else in the detector circuit. By throwing something else in the detector circuit, we can radically manipulate what's going on the track at hand. And that's what's going on with this here, this particular synth. I am sending a kick drum into this compressor, and based on reading the kick drums, threshold, ratio, all that business, we are going to apply that to the synth. And so let me kind of show you how these attack and release times affect this. I don't want this particular video to be specific to just dance music kick drums, because there's a million other ways to do this, but it's important that you kind of get a vibe that the compressor is reacting to the kick drum and applying that reaction to our synth. Okay, now right there I cranked up the release, so when the kick hits, it's holding it for 322 milliseconds, to the point where we don't get that fun bounce groove thing going. We just kind of have a compression going. So let me crank it up really long. See, that's no fun. It's not really doing anything of interest. So let's slow it back down and try to get that upbeat pump going on. And now we're just starting to hear it there at 150 milliseconds. Now, if we had the same kind of compression on the synth, it wouldn't be near this interesting, because the synth itself is not a dynamic source. It would constantly be going basically the same level, and so the release wouldn't do a whole lot. And let me just go ahead and show you that real quick. We're smacking it, but it needs that transient pop to react to so that it could mangle the synth. So let's go back to our side shading here. There. And the same thing, since we're reacting to that transient on the kick drum, if our compressor was too slow, the kick drum would come through, and if we slow it way down, well, the compressor won't even care. So let's slow it down to like 100 milliseconds. Okay, it cares a little bit, but that's because the kick drum's a real long sustaining kind of guy. If we had a much faster just beep, then we'd hear almost no reduction at all. Now, this is an insanely powerful trick with electronic music, and you can tell you can really change up a song tremendously and really spice it up, for lack of a better word. That's one way, and this is a groove trick. But by using the sidechain, we can do so many other things. For example, my famous LA3A compressor that I like, it's hardware, and I don't have a plug-in equivalent exactly. Well, it has a sidechain, so it splits the signal inside there, and we cranked up the top end on the sidechain. What does that mean? Well, it means that the compressor itself will start to compress high frequencies at what's the word? If they get out of hand before the low end does. So there's kind of an emphasis on reacting to high frequencies. So what does that mean in English? Well, it means that if we have a really sibilant vocal, the LA3A, when cranked up in this fashion, will say, you know what? I'm gonna go and grab it anyway because it's designed to be extra sensitive to high frequencies. Now, the actual audio circuit does not have any EQ on it. It's just on that sidechain. So it changes when we detect. And again, that's based on our usual threshold ratio and that sort of thing. And that's a very popular way to control sibilance. In my opinion, it's the best way. It's the most transparent and natural and doesn't do the whole lisp thing and all that business. So definitely play with sidechain for your tracks. You'd be surprised what you can do with it. And you can do a lot of things that save you a lot of EQ. We'll get into that in more advanced videos. Da-da-da-da-da.